The day my neighbor finally asked why I avoided him, I was standing in my driveway with my keys shaking in my hand. "Hey, man," he said casually, leaning against the fence like we were old friends. "Did I do something? You don't even look at me anymore."
Hey guys, before we dive into today's family revenge story, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And I'm curious, where are you watching from right now? Comment your country and current time below. All right, let's begin. This is the story of a family pushed to the edge, and what happened next will shock you.
I stared past him, at the neat lawn, the white siding of his house, the American flag hanging proudly by his porch. Everything about his life looked clean, respectable, normal. If only he knew what it had cost me. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 32, white, American, and for 6 months, I had been living next door to the man who destroyed my life, without him ever realizing it. I didn't answer him. I couldn't, because the truth wasn't something you said out loud between trash cans and mailboxes. We hadn't always been strangers. When I first moved into the neighborhood, he welcomed me like family. Barbecues, beers, friendly waves. He was older, mid-40s, confident, well-connected, a respected figure in town. Everyone trusted him, including me. At the time, I was rebuilding. Fresh start, new job in logistics, quiet neighborhood. I'd come from a messy breakup and was desperate for stability. He saw that. Predators always do. One night, over drinks, I mentioned my business idea. Just talk, nothing formal. A small import operation I'd been planning for years. He listened closely, asked questions, encouraged me, told me I had real potential. I didn't know that was the moment he decided to take everything. Weeks later, I found out my idea had been launched by someone else. Same structure, same suppliers, same pitch, same damn numbers. His company. I confronted him once, quietly. He smiled, put a hand on my shoulder, told me I should have moved faster, told me ideas weren't owned, execution was. Then came the humiliation. Word spread, not that he stole from me, but that I was delusional, bitter, a guy who thought he had something special but couldn't pull it off. Mutual contacts stopped answering my calls. One laughed when I brought it up. "You should let it go, Ethan," they said. "You're embarrassing yourself." My credit collapsed after a failed attempt to launch anyway. I lost my job trying to chase it. I sold my car. I ate ramen in silence. And every morning, I walked past his house, smiling, thriving, untouched. So when he asked me why I avoided him, my throat closed. Because if I told him the truth, he'd think he'd already won. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him again. I didn't expose him publicly. I disappeared. That was my first act of revenge, though he didn't know it yet. I stopped going out, stopped talking, stopped reacting. In a town where reputation was everything, my silence became suspicious. People wondered why I'd gone quiet, why I'd stopped complaining. They assumed I was broken. They were wrong. I took a job 2 towns over, below my experience, low pay, no ego. I worked nights. I listened. I learned. I rebuilt something far more valuable than money. Patience. I studied him from a distance, his business, his partnerships, his public image. He wasn't just successful. He was overextended. Too many deals, too much trust in his name. Men like him don't protect themselves from people they believe are beneath them. I started documenting everything, quietly. Public filings, vendor complaints, late payments masked by charm. I noticed patterns, corners cut, verbal promises, handshake deals with no paper trail. Then I did something small. I introduced myself to one of his suppliers, using my real name. Calm, professional, no bitterness. I asked questions he'd never asked, offered solutions he'd never considered. I didn't take his business. I became an alternative. Slowly. One supplier, then another. I never mentioned him, never badmouthed him. I let his reputation do the damage on its own. I helped him. That's what made it perfect. I gave him advice, real advice, but never enough. I suggested meetings that went nowhere, introduced him to contacts who were almost right. Each delay cost him money, each misstep chipped away at his confidence. And because I was the guy he wronged, he never suspected me. Behind the scenes, I finalized my own operation. Lean, legal, documented, clean. Every weakness I'd observed in him, I corrected in myself. Then the audit came. Not because I reported him. I didn't have to. One of his former suppliers, now mine, had finally demanded accountability. Paperwork he didn't have, promises he couldn't prove, numbers that didn't line up. The town didn't turn on him overnight. That would have been mercy. They watched, whispered, distanced themselves. The same people who once told me I was embarrassing started avoiding him. He aged fast after that, lost weight, lost posture, lost that easy laugh. One evening I saw him sitting on his porch alone. No flag, no music, just silence. He looked up and saw me. "Ethan," he said quietly, "can we talk?" I stood there, the power finally balanced, maybe even tipped. He started explaining stress, bad luck, enemies. He never once apologized. So I told him the truth. Not about the revenge, not about the suppliers, not about the slow collapse I'd orchestrated. I told him why I avoided him. I told him how it felt to watch someone steal your future and smile while doing it, how humiliation changes the way you breathe, how silence can be heavier than shouting. His face fell, not in guilt, in realization. He understood then. Too late. His business didn't explode. It didn't make headlines. It faded. That was the punishment. One by one, contracts ended. Partners moved on. His house went on the market. The flag never came back up. As for me, I didn't celebrate. I moved forward. A year later, my company was stable, not flashy, profitable, respected. I didn't need validation. I didn't need applause. One morning, as I loaded my car, he approached me again. Older, smaller somehow. "I finally understand why you avoided me," he said. "I just didn't think it would cost me everything." I looked him in the eye for the first time in a year. "It didn't," I said calmly. "It cost you what you built on lies. Everything else was never yours." He had no reply. I drove away, not victorious, not smiling, whole. Because the most humiliating revenge isn't destruction. It's letting someone live long enough to understand exactly what they lost and who they underestimated.